How have you thought about their play?
Our play?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Do you feel like there is that almost split where it's like you and them?
Most definitely. I mean, it's been that way since I got here. It's the Warriors and KD, you know what I'm saying? And I understand that. And I felt like my teammates and the organization know exactly what I've done here on and off the court to become a part of this culture. So I know what I bring to the team. But I also know that a lot of people on the outside, don't like to see us together.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. And here's where this begins. All right, we're going to get in a minute into whether or not they need him to win the championship. But as I looked at I read those quotes, but this is the first time I've seen the look on his face when he said it. And here's what I find fascinating. So many people had to sacrifice so much for these Warriors to win as they're winning. They may be on the verge of winning a third straight championship. That is obviously an extraordinarily rare accomplishment in the history of the sport, right? Three-peating is a legendary feat. And look at all the sacrifice that was made for that.
Yeah.
Look what Draymond Green sacrificed. Look at his game flourishing with KD off the floor. Steph Curry, who you're saying is one of the 5 best players in the sport.
Yes.
Well, no one talks about him that way now because Kevin Durant is there. But who really sacrificed more than KD? That's the thought that jumped into my mind. Because look at the way he is now viewed. It really is the Warriors and KD in a lot of people's minds. And while he has emerged as maybe the second best player in the world, if you want to continue to maintain LeBron in the first spot, the amount of disrespect that he receives to some degree, I think is also fascinating. What did you think when you looked at his face?
Kevin has brought a lot to that team. Now, they were a great team before they got there. And I think it also said a lot about the guys that were there that actively recruited him. And that's who Draymond is. I know I've gone after free agents, and then Draymond has jumped in on some guys. Once Draymond jumps in, you have no chance to get that player. I have recruited someone, and Draymond and Kevin went to visit with the player right after they won the chance, like 2 days after. Once the agent told me that who was visiting, I said, we're done with him. That's the impact that they have. But Kevin has sacrificed a lot. And I know from coaching against them, I'd rather Kevin not play. Right? When Kevin's playing, that adds a lot to that team. So let's not mistake how great they are with Kevin.
And DJ, is some of that narrative that Greeny's talking about because everyone does kind of feel like KD's going to leave the Warriors after this year?
I think it's been so much talk about it all year that's where the separation comes from. And you say the Golden State Warriors and Kevin Durant because of those things. But to Kevin's credit, we haven't heard him say anything about free agency except, I'm going to make the decision when the time comes. Look, the Golden State Warriors are a good team if KD doesn't play, but a great team when he does play. And I think they're going to need him in this series to eventually win it all.
We will talk about that in a second, but I want to briefly, before we get to that point, touch on something you said earlier in the context of Malcolm Brogdon's return for Milwaukee during their series. So we know now KD's not playing game 1, which would suggest he's not playing game 2. Now the series continues. Remember, they open in Toronto. Yeah. So let's say the Raptors, let's say it's a split. Let's say it's 1-1. As it goes forward, obviously Kevin Durant comes back and is able to try and play. You're going to play him. It's not even worth discussing whether you play him or not. But how do you integrate him back, having missed as much time as he has in game 3 or 4 or 5 of the NBA Finals?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is we haven't seen anything with Kevin on the court. Yeah. That's a big concern. Like, we've seen Cousins working out. You'd say he's probably closer than KD. So that factors into it. But I think once Kevin is able to play, that will be a seamless transition for them. And they've shown. They've been without people before. They've been great with people being out. And they've done it in all ways. When Steve Kerr was out, they won that way. When this is a great team. Once Draymond went into that starting lineup, that changed everything for that franchise.
But I just want to confirm quickly, you sound like you're saying you do not expect to see KD in these finals at all. That's what I feel like you're saying.
What I'm looking at is, and it's good to see him publicly speaking now, but you haven't seen anything with him on the court.
And you have seen Boogie, so it almost makes you think.
So there's steps you have to take to come back to play. And usually you hear, okay, he's practicing with us, he's taking contact. You haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, not
so
even
that
spot
would
shooting.
be a big concern for me.
Yeah,
So
not
we've
even
heard-
spot shooting.
Yeah. Well, unless they're just keeping it all under wraps, which they could be doing from a
Possibly.
standpoint of strategy to try to throw everybody off. Okay, you think that the Warriors need KD to win. We'll get your, excuse me, to win the finals. We'll get your opinion in just a second a little more. But what do you think? Do they need KD to win this, the Warriors?
Well, it certainly would help. You know, I think he puts them over the top. I still think it'll be like the one thing about the Warriors right now, they're playing with a great edge. They know they're shorthanded. And the intensity that they're playing with, the intelligence they're playing with, and the fact that they've been through it so many different times. So all of their players have great experience in a championship series. So I think that factors into it as well.
But if the Warriors, if Kevin Durant never plays, do you still believe Golden State wins the series?
I do.
You?
Yes,
You believe they win?
I believe they win. I believe they win. And Golden State, as they're constructed right now without Kevin Durant, don't get me wrong, they are a good basketball team, and they've been in battles before. I just think with KD, it just takes them to a whole nother stratosphere.
Understood. But if he doesn't come back and play, and I had Marcus Spears in here talking about having had that injury himself once, and Richard Jefferson talking about it. Those guys don't think there's any chance
Matt
KD
Barnes
plays.
said the same thing.
They don't think there's any chance KD winds up playing in these finals at all. But obviously, none of us know. We're not there. We're not inspecting him on a day-to-day basis. But if he does not play at all, who wins the NBA championship? Warriors or Raptors?
Golden State in 7 games.
7 games without him.
Yes.
Okay, and you think the same?
Yes.
Yeah. The
you
official
think?
Greeny prediction, with KD, I would take the Warriors in 5. Without KD, I would take the Warriors in 6. I just think that they are the better team, and they have looked, and I really appreciated the way he made sure he corrected the reporter who asked him. And I'm not criticizing the reporter because I understand. I understand the mentality. How do you
Our
feel
team.
about the way they're playing?
Our team.
And he's like, no, this is us. We're playing. I get it. I respect that totally.
And their entire team is playing that way.
Yeah.
They're all talking team, and that's important.